All right. Today we are doing our first session, right? First
Yep.
one. First session over positive leadership with Shelly Vaughn. So, Shelly, would you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm Shelly Vaughn. I'm the superintendent at Mercer County Educational Service Center. Just finished my 10th year in this role, which is kind of crazy. Like
It
to be
goes
to
by
that point, it
fast.
goes by
It's
super
an
fast.
adolescent
now.
Like
What? Your experience here is an adolescent now. It's in middle school.
That's very true. Yeah.
Prior to that, I was a district superintendent, elementary principal, teacher of various grades, special ed. So that's a little bit about me.
Yeah. And now that this is like the first episode, we should say who we are too.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
though we have a lot of subscribers, we know everybody knows us.
I checked
but
this morning.
Oh, we're up to 22.
22.
All right. So if you are listening to this, please like and subscribe our YouTube channel.
Like and subscribe.
So I'm Lindsay Smeezing. I'm the curriculum director here at the ESC.
I'm Emily Kriegel. I'm the curriculum coordinator.
And we will get started. And we do have a question for Shelly that we will do in our next little segment. So we'll get started with that. All right, Emily, I'm going to let you ask the question since you came up with the question.
Okay. Well, ChatGPT came up with the question, and then I just picked which ones would be the best ones for which people.
Okay.
So Shelly, and you can answer this however you want. Okay. However you want. You can interpret this however you want what this question is. But if you were a character in a movie, what would your role be?
The boss.
The boss?
Ooh, yeah.
I think I would be the villain.
Oh my gosh. You would not be the villain.
Okay, Shelly, who would play you in a movie? If we made a movie about your life, who would play you?
Oh, I would be awful at this because I don't know any like people's names.
Okay,
like,
can I just say, like, this is not the right question for me because I don't watch movies. I don't know actors and actresses. Like, this is not my wheelhouse.
Okay, so let's ask her a different question.
Okay, what do you want to ask?
Okay, Shelly.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do a this or that.
Okay, now I do have this in her and Kurt's episode
so let's
too.
just give her a this or that, just
Okay.
totally off the top of our heads. Okay. But I want it to be one that will help people know who she is. Because when we did Michelle's, we did this or that, and you had to pick like chocolate or vanilla.
Okay.
Okay. We coasted in easy. But I think you can learn a lot about people's personalities based on what they choose for this or that.
And you're not allowed to explain your
Can't
answer.
explain.
Okay.
And we're not here to judge. We're not going to judge. I
That's fair.
almost judged them last episode. No, I guess you guys haven't heard it yet. Sorry.
Yeah.
We recording out of order, but
we are. Yeah.
Okay, Shelly, this or that. Actually, I think I might repeat one from Michelle's just because I'm interested based on Shelly's lifestyle.
Okay.
Mountains or beaches?
Mountains.
I knew it. I knew it. Lindsay, tell her what yours was.
Mine was beach. Michelle's was beach too, wasn't
Michelle's
it?
was beach too. I can't do the sand.
But you know what I think it is? First off, I've never been to the mountains.
Oh.
Like I drove through the mountains, but I have never seen the mountains.
Prior knowledge, right?
Right.
So I would have said beach.
Yeah.
I would have said beach probably, 15 years ago, but now I've been to the mountains and lots of mountains, and I love the mountains.
The view is
so
nice.
Maybe after I go out west next year, then I might have a different perspective.
That's what I said. I want to go to like La Jolla where you're on the mountain and you can see the beach. So you don't have to do the sand. Because the sand on my feet just puts me over the edge.
Well, and that's also what I said is I like the beach, but I actually like to be by a pool by the beach because I don't love the sand and I don't like swimming in the ocean. It scares me.
Colin got stung by a jellyfish once, and that was enough for me.
Like that. No. Okay, so that was a good one.
That was good.
All
Good.
Right. Yeah, I like that. All right, so we will get started with our first question, Shelly. So our first question is, what does positive leadership mean to you personally?
So I've been told for years, I have an irrational sense of hope. And I love that phrase, but I always want to quantify it with, it's not Pollyanna, head in the clouds. It's a realistic sense of positivity, if you will. So the signature line in my email says being positive in a negative situation is not being naive. It's leadership. It's a mindset, right? So I think that when you look at, we become what we focus on. So you can look at situations, problems, even those big fires, right? In a way that you become paralyzed and you only look at the problem at hand. To me, positive leadership is looking at things through that lens of positivity, not just simply admiring the problem, but here's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to make things better and to improve. So That to me is positive leadership.
The rose-colored glasses.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
rose-colored glasses.
Kurt
That
always says that,
I do have rose-colored glasses.
which I think is a good thing.
I think it is too, because again, I think a large part of leadership is inspiring others. And you do that by encouraging that let's look at things differently.
Mhm.
Let's not, we have to um, understand the problem or understand the situation well. So that does require time, right? We don't just act quickly, but you act in a way to make things better.
Now I do have just a quick question to follow
Okay.
that. Do you have one too?
Oh, yeah, but you go.
Okay. So here's my question. We have a lot of young leaders in our area. Have you always been this way, or has it gotten easier as you've seen things turn out? You know
I
what
was
I
gonna
mean?
ask the same question, like, have you
Yeah.
always had that positive leadership?
I mean, I doubt you've ever been negative.
So I
Right.
would say no. I mean, I love that you asked this question because then it ties me back to my mom. That's my mom. Like, I feel like it's innately kind of been one of my core values, like always. Now, I was also blessed to be in an environment and grow up around someone who modeled that for me, right? Um, no, I think that the rose-colored glasses comment is a good one because I've had people say, I'm gonna drive over those rose-colored glasses, right? So there have been obstacles in the way of like people not appreciating, I think, that kind of outlook and perspective. But has it worked? Yeah, it has. And I think it has because that's the lens I view things through. So has the outcome always been what I expected or what we collectively thought we would know? But we got to a place where things were better, right?
Mhm.
So again, you are what you think about. You become what you think about. So when you view things in a positive nature, has it worked out? I would say yes. Yes, it
No,
always
that makes
has.
sense.
Yeah.
I think people like to run over those rose-colored glasses more out of like jealousy and defensiveness than they do. When you're in those
Mhm.
situations and someone can have hope and you can't, then it becomes, well, if I can't have hope, nobody can have hope.
Right. Yep.
Somebody has to have hope.
Mhm. So I'm gonna ask a question like off the cuff, but so when you come across people that don't have that positive like leadership or positive mindset, like how do you deal with that?
Um, so really acknowledging where they are and not
Mhm.
downplaying that, right? Because
Right.
everybody has their own perspective and
Mhm.
everybody brings their perspective to the table. And so honoring what that perspective is super important. I think in all things leadership, in all things people, it's about valuing relationships and valuing them as a person. And so that's first and foremost. Um, but I think being able to demonstrate, and this is where experience is on my side, right? Being able to talk about specific examples of how it's worked out
Right.
because we've thought about things differently or because we've approached it from a team collective aspect and we've figured it out.
Right.
So I think there's some proof in concept to be able to
Mhm.
share to hopefully influence them to think differently.
Yeah, that listening piece I think is really important.
Yep.
Understanding their perspective on things.
All right. For the next question, you've already kind of alluded to this just a smidge, but we'd like maybe a little more of a detailed version of how you model that positivity because we know it's just who you are, right? But it's still hard to be a human. So, how do you model that positivity when it's really hard?
Um, we talked about this a little bit in the last question, and that was hope, right?
Mhm.
So, like, there's a lot of science behind hope. Um, one of the things I've been blessed to be able to do when I came to the ESC is hire and recruit really great people like you guys. And so I think that surrounding ourselves with others and creating a culture where hope exists and the power of positivity exists, that's just who we are as an organization and as a culture. So in those times when I'm feeling overwhelmed or have some problems that seem to be a little bit, insurmountable, it's awesome to be
Mm.
surrounded by others that can help. Hopeful people can give hope. We learned that, right?
Right, the
In some
science
of
of hope. Who was that?
I can't remember her name.
Jamie Mead.
That's
Yes.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so if you have not heard of her, like, definitely look her up.
Yeah. So and just research the science of hope. It's
Yeah.
fascinating and it's so simple, right? So hopeful people have hope to give. And so
Mhm.
when I find myself in a position where I am, during those tough weeks, you seek out that from others and to help find that encouragement and support and good thought partner.
Mhm.
I was gonna say, I think that's why we work so well together.
I think so too,
I
because you're
think
very hopeful.
I think very hopeful. I think it goes both ways, right?
I mean,
It
yeah.
depends on situations.
No, I
But like,
agree.
I
I
feel like
agree.
when I'm like losing hope, I go to you and you
Mhm.
help bring my hope back, and it's back and forth, right?
Yes, I think a lot about seasons, and I think that
Mm-hmm.
when we've been very lucky in that when we are in a lull, like one of
Right.
us is still like, we can come out of here, right? Like we can get out of
Right.
this. Um, so yeah, how did you find all those good people? Because that's what I'm like, dang, how did she find so many awesome people? Because everybody I
Right.
know that I work with is awesome. And I
Mm-hmm.
don't get it. Like,
Well,
how'd you do it?
listen, I mean, I think it's again, I've learned over time, right? Like that the hiring practices are super important and the
Mm,
questions you ask in interviews are very important and the research you do about folks
Mm-hmm.
very important. So it's not just about hiring someone for the skill set that they possess, it's about who they are as a person. And do they believe in our mission and our vision and what we're trying to accomplish
Mm-hmm.
on behalf of school districts.
All right, Shelly. So you talked about your experience with positive leadership. Can you tell us about a specific time that you had positive leadership and it like shifted a situation?
I would talk about two examples that are student programming for students with disabilities. So when the levy passed to build the facility at TriStar, there wasn't a program specific for students with disabilities. And so we launched the conversation with TriStar leadership, and there were many obstacles along the way. How does this work? How does funding work? How is this program going to be set up? How do we recruit students? What students should be eligible for the program? All the things, the design of the room, all of it. So we met every month for 2 years,
Oh,
had those
wow.
conversations, and it was a lot of repeat conversations. It was a lot of breaking down barriers. It was a lot of let's go do some site visits. Let's figure some things out. Um, we have since built career pathways, and the whole adage of you build it, they will come. Enrollment has skyrocketed in that program, and we've actually had folks from around the state come and view that room and say this is the coolest classroom in the state of Ohio.
that's awesome.
Right? Yeah.
Mhm.
So um, it was a lot of work, but when you bring that positive perspective of I think we can do this. We can do this. How can we do this? We were able to accomplish it. Another example would be Project Search, which is a program for young adults with disabilities as they transition into the workforce. During COVID times, that was sunset because most of those programs exist in either hospital facilities, public facilities,
Yeah.
and so obviously COVID, didn't allow for those things to happen. So when it was brought to us as an ESC, can we do this? We partnered with Mercer Health. We figured out a way to get it done. Again, success story after success story, 100% employability post for our post grads that go through that program. So those are two examples I would say that through perseverance, a lot of positive leadership,
Mhm.
we were able to have a significant impact on young adults in their lives long term.
That's awesome. Okay, something Lindsay and I have learned that's very critical during any sort of professional development or communication is that people want actionable steps that they can use when they move on from here. So what is one or more simple way or ways that leaders can uplift their teams today, even if they're not a naturally positive person?
Perfect. Good. And leaders are defined in any role,
Yeah,
not by title, right? So,
absolutely.
yeah, we lead in a variety of ways. So, I would say leadership isn't about the answers that you give, it's about the questions that you ask. So, oftentimes when people come and they want to talk through some things, they don't necessarily need you to tell them the answer. They need you
Mm,
to help them get to potential solutions. So,
Right.
again, engage listening to where they
mhm.
are, right?
Mhm.
And asking the right questions to help them arrive at a solution. Um, this is one I've said forever and ever. I think I referenced it in my response to the last question. Um, can it be done or how can it be done? Those are two very, very different questions, right? One
Mhm.
puts you in the parameters of sort of a finite space. The other one opens up a solution for how can it be done? We can take some risks. We can try some new things. We can think outside the box. We can call in other partners and figure it out. So,
Mhm.
um, shifting that mindset from can it be done to how? How can it
Mhm.
be done? Um, and then the other one I would say is just removing barriers. So sometimes it's really little things that can sometimes get in the way. And so when you're in a position of leadership, sometimes you have the ability to help remove barriers. Um, so do that,
Yeah.
right? Get the things out
Mhm.
of the way so that we can just do what's good for kids.
And actually, I know this is Shelly's advice, but it's funny that you said this because in the last module I did for my leadership class, one of the like topics that it brought up that really resonated with me was inhibition versus prohibition and how often people make decisions that they think are based on prohibition. Like, I can't do this. Like, there is
Right.
a barrier that will prevent me from doing it. But more often than not, it's inhibition. And it's you thinking you're not capable of doing said thing. So I've been more intentional in the last week since I read it. But it's gonna stick with me. Is like, is
Yep.
this is what's stopping me inhibition or is it prohibition? Is there something literally stopping me or am I stopping myself? And I think
Mhm.
that like that hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, I've been living with a lot of
Right.
inhibition.
When I think working as a team helps that too, because your perspective, you may think that this is a barrier, but is it really? Like, you can probably come to a solution as a team to get over that
And
barrier
it's
or
less
to
scary with a team
yeah,
when there's other
yeah.
people with you.
Way less scary, way
Mhm.
Mhm.
less scary. One more thing I would say is celebrate risk taking, right? And celebrate risks. Even
Mhm.
when things don't work out the way you had planned, for me to, or for anyone in a position and for a teacher with their students to celebrate the fact that you took a risk.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Let's celebrate that. That's how we learn.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
100%. Yeah.
That was
All right, Shelly. So every single episode, Emily always does a joke. And since we have somebody else on the podcast, she's going to ask you the
I hope
joke
I
and
get
not
the
me.
I know I'm trying really hard to let you get the answer so everyone
Oh, so
realizes
you're
how
nice
smart
to
Shelly is.
everybody else, but not to me.
She's my boss.
Oh my God, now I feel pressured because
I
what if I don't?
This is gonna
know,
it's gonna be
right?
embarrassing. Okay. I really want you
It's
to
going to
think
be
this through because this
embarrassing.
is pretty like this is not a hard joke. What do you call a bear with no teeth?
Do you know?
No, I have no
It's not
idea.
paused. She's just thinking. People might have thought they accidentally paused there.
No, I don't.
Okay, are you ready for this? Because this is gonna be
Oh.
the funniest joke you've ever heard.
Oh, gosh.
A gummy bear.